Hi there, everyone. Welcome to week 8, day 3 of our Build Balance Momentum program. Today's posture of the day is an extension of a pose we've already learned. And so today's posture is King Pigeon pose. So feel free to grab a strap because I know I definitely need it to help get into this posture. So I feel like you might too if you've never done it before. So feel free to grab that. Otherwise, we can start out in child's pose today. So come down about midway through your mat and bring your big toes together, knees nice and wide, and let's walk our hands down, gently resting our frontal lobes onto the mat and turning our attention inward as we reconnect with our breath. Try to allow all thoughts to release out of your mind at this time and gently observe the rise and fall of your breath. Become aware of any tension in your muscles and try to release that tension on every exhale. We're going to try a nice shoulder mobility exercise at the beginning of practice today. King Pigeon pose requires us to have nice open shoulders to get that full overhead extension. So at this time, bring your left thumb to kind of point towards the ceiling. And without moving anything else, see if you can lift that left arm off the mat and just hover it over the mat. And then slowly release. Let's do that with the right hand. Flip up that thumb towards the ceiling and bring hovering that right arm over the mat. See if you can just hover it at its end range of motion. And release. Let's do it again with the left arm now. Inhale that arm up, just hovering it, maybe pulsing it if you can. We're just trying to extend that end range of motion, really get that nice overhead extension. And let's release, doing it again, bringing that right arm up, hovering it over the mat if we can. And gently release. We'll do it with the left one again. Again, trying to keep your spine neutral. We're not opening up to one side or the other as we do this. We're strictly trying to keep that motion in our shoulders and in our arms. Let's do it on the right side. Hover and release. Now let's clasp our hands together and let's rise up, pulling our head in towards our hands. And let's just do some lumbar spinal exercises. So inhale as you drop your ribs towards the mat and exhale as you puff through the back of the back. Inhale, dropping those ribs. Exhale, puff, puff, puff. We're not putting any weight in our necks here. We're simply resting them in our arms, pushing our arms into the mat, and just really getting this nice spinal movement here. And we're just going to continue this movement, moving with our breath. So inhaling as we drop our chest down lower and exhaling as we puff and round through the back. And then slowly sink back and come into a nice seated posture. We're going to do some gentle kneeling cat-cows. So inhale as you pull your chest forward, opening up. And then exhale as you round through the back, tucking your chin towards your chest. And again, just kind of move with your own breath, nice and slow. Just really awakening the spine. You can really modify the cat-cow sequence in any position because that's really just moving the spine back and forth. Inhale as you pull your chest through your biceps, gaze high. Exhale as you round out that thoracic spine. And then slowly sink down into child's pose. And on your next inhale, we're going to rise up into upward facing dog. Nice spinal roll up. You can keep your knees lifted or lay them onto the mat in more of a cobra stance. And then exhale back into child's pose. Inhale, round, puffing through the back, and then pushing up into upward facing dog. Exhale back into child's pose. Deep inhale as you round the spine, nice fluid waves up into upward facing dog. And exhale back into child's pose again, sending those sit bones back. Inhale, round, pushing the mat away, and exhale. Deep inhale to neutral tabletop, and we're going to walk our hands out now towards the front of the mat and come into extended puppy pose. So release your chest and your chin towards the mat. Maybe you rest your chin on the mat or you rest your frontal lobe, and just allow your chest to sink a little deeper, trying to keep your hips over your knees if you can. And release, opening up the shoulders. If you want, at this time, you can grab your blocks and kind of stack them in front of you. Then you can rest your elbows on them to get a little bit deeper into this stretch. And maybe sink your head now through your triceps and see if you can get just a little bit deeper stretch. We're really trying to get that overhead extension of the arms that we need in King Pigeon pose. So this is a really good shoulder opener and a nice little warm-up. You can even bring your palms together and bend those elbows, bringing your thumbs towards the back of your neck. And just feel a nice stretch through the shoulders as you breathe and release into this pose. Maybe sinking a little deeper on your exhales. And if you want, you can release your arms at this time. Move the blocks out of your way, and we're going to put our elbows back on the mat and bend those elbows to bring our thumbs back behind our head and our neck. And we're going to do some almost like extended puppy mountain climbers. So we're going to ground through that right knee, pushing that knee into the mat as we inhale our left leg up and extend it out behind us, doing like a glute kick at the top, and then exhaling as we bring it towards our chest, and then inhale as we extend it back and glute kick again. Just back and forth with your breath. Let's do 2 glute kicks at the top. 1 glute kick, and bring it back down. Glute kick, and slowly holding it here a moment at the top now. And then release it back down. Let's ground through that leg now and do it on the other side. So bring that knee in towards your chest and extend it, glute kicking it at the top, keeping that knee bent. Exhale, tuck it in towards your chest and glute kick at the top. Kick, kick, just slight kicks. Kick, kick. Exhale. Inhale, extend and kick, and now hold it here. You'll feel it in your shoulders starting to burn. And then release that leg back down. Release your hands, and let's come into child's pose again. Giving our shoulders a break now. Maybe you kind of extend them out along behind the body. And rest them gently by your legs. Just giving those shoulders a nice rest from that exercise. And now slowly awaken the body. Plant your hands down in front of you. Tuck those toes under and send those sit bones up and back into downward facing dog. You can pedal out your legs at this time if you'd like. A few deep breaths. Then we're going to ground through that left leg as we extend our right leg up and behind the body. Bend that knee and bring that heel to open up that right hip. Let's do some really generous hip circles. So let's circle it around in one direction. Just nice big hip circles, opening up that hip joint. Then switch directions. Keeping your hands firmly planted on the mat. And extend that leg down. And now let's bring it up to rest in between our hands. Let's lift up that back heel now. Let's rise up into a nice crescent lunge. Bringing our arms overhead, sinking into that front knee. Really strong front leg. And let's bend our elbows and grasp the opposite elbow behind our heads. Feel that opening up through the chest as you pull your arms back. And now use your right hand to help extend that left elbow behind the body, and then extend that right arm out to the side. And see if you can grasp the outer elbow or the outer shoulder of your right shoulder with your left hand. And allow it to just hang heavy. Feel how it opens up your shoulder joint. And then release your arms down, maybe clasping your hands behind your back and hinging at the waist. Bring your chest to your front knee and allow your head to hang heavy. And now let's release our hands to the mat at this time on the inside of our foot. And allow your hips to kind of dip as low as you can without bending the back knee. So really opening up those hips in this nice deep runner's lunge. Really breathe through the stretch. Feeling every muscle in that hip and that leg. Let's bend that back knee now towards the mat and kind of sit up, straighten out that front knee if you can just a bit to send your sit bones back as you kind of grasp and bring up that left heel towards the body. And then sink back forward into that lunge. Feel how that deepens the stretch. Gives you a nice quad stretch as well now. And just hold that foot. Trying not to sink too much into that left shoulder, keeping some weight in that left leg. And now let's release that left leg now to the mat. And then come into our nice pigeon pose. So drop the shin of the right leg to the mat, point those toes, and kind of outwardly rotate that shin. And then make sure that left hip isn't popped off the mat. Make sure it's nice and square with the front of the mat. And then sink your chest a little lower if you can. Inhaling, rising up into a pigeon cobra. Exhaling, lowering down. Inhale, push the mat away as you rise up. And then exhale. Check to make sure everything's square. You can always put a blanket under your hips and under your pelvis area to kind of give yourself a nice little lift. And we're going to grab our strap at this time as we prepare for our king pigeon posture. So kind of create like a little loop at the end of your strap because we'll loop this around our foot. So you can kind of see that I created just a little loop, and I'm going to hook it around my foot here. So feel free to do the same, and then you just kind of walk your hand out over that strap. Again, squaring your hips with the front of the mat, so make sure your positioning is correct. And just grab your strap underhand, like so, and see if you can bring it around to flip that elbow. Kind of watch how I'm doing it here. So grab that strap at whatever's comfortable enough so you can flip that elbow up towards your head. kind of flipping your grip. And now bring your other right arm up and over it and see if you can also grasp the strap. And we want to use your foot to kind of pull your arms back and use your arms to pull your foot up. And ideally, you want to be able to reach and grab that back foot, but this has never been a very obtainable posture for myself. For me, I have very tight back muscles. So you might find that you're a little more open in the shoulders and a little more open in the back where you're able to grab that foot. But feel free to try to walk your hands in if you can. And if not, if this is too unapproachable for you, you kind of hook your arm around your foot as I'm doing here. And try this variation where you clasp your hands and pull behind your head and kind of use that to open up and stretch your quad muscles. So that's another fun variation. Otherwise, you can just breathe through this posture as you get a little more comfortable. So let's try it again if you want. Kind of flip your grip, grab that, and then see if you can pull your hands just a little closer, walking them in up the strap a little closer to your foot if you can. If not, just kind of hold and then slowly release that leg back down. And then we will take that strap off of our foot. And let's sit back into child's pose to rest a moment. I'm going to do some light pulses in my child's pose, keeping those toes tucked, just to kind of stretch out the spine, coming into a nice cat posture. Almost counterbalancing that nice back bend we did. So we're doing cat, so we're puffing, tucking our chin towards our chest, and then just coming into a neutral tabletop. And then let's sit back into our downward facing dog as we prepare for the other side. Everyone say hi to Baxter. We haven't seen him in a while. He is rambunctious sometimes. And just breathe and hold the stretch. You can also be sitting in child's pose to catch your breath as well. He wanted belly rubs, I apologize. I could have edited this part out, but he's just too cute. Everybody wants to see a little dachshund. Yeah. Now let's ground through that right leg as we inhale our left leg out and back, and then open up that hip by bending that knee. Let's do some really wide hip circles here once again on this side now. Nice deep circles. Feel free to switch directions. Extend it back, and now let's drop that foot in between our hands as we come into that nice crescent lunge. So let's inhale as we rise up, sinking into that front leg, and then clasping those elbows behind our back once again. This time, let's use that right arm to drop and grab the outside of the left shoulder as we extend that left arm out to the side. It's okay if it doesn't become parallel to the mat, just whatever comfortable for you. And now let's release, once again clasping our hands behind our back and hinging at the waist, bringing our chest towards our front knee, allowing those hands to hang overhead. And then slowly release them in between, to the inside of that left foot as we come into our nice runner's lunge. Allow those hips to sink a little deeper on every exhale. And just breathing through the stretch. You can do some nice pelvic pulses if you want. Otherwise, let's drop that back knee and kind of sink our sit bones back just a little bit so we can clasp that foot and then sink forward once again into that nice deep lunge. Clasping that foot, pulling that heel towards your butt. And just feel this nice stretch. Once again, not trying to dump into that right arm. Do put some weight into that left foot so you're not just sinking all your weight into your shoulder. Deep stretch here. And just breathing with this posture, breathing, and then release. And now let's drop that shin towards the mat as we come into pigeon pose with our left foot this time. Sink forward on our exhale. Nice forward fold, tenting those fingers, and inhale into a pigeon cobra. Exhale, slowly lower down. Deep inhale as we rise up, pushing the mat away from us, and then exhale forward once again. Inhale, rise up. Hello again, Baxter. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, pushing the mat away. This time grabbing our strap and our blanket again, or our towel, and putting it under our pelvis and our hips if we need a little bolster. Otherwise, we're going to make that loop in our strap again. This time, hooking it around our foot, our right foot, and extending it out behind us. Square those hips again with the front of your mat, and let's use the strap to pull that heel in towards the body, flipping the grip and pulling our shoulders up on the outside of our head, and then just using that strap to pull your foot closer. Again, you can always do this modification where you just kind of clasp your foot with your hand and just hold it here in this nice stretch. Or you can hook it in your elbow as well, like we did on the other side. And then maybe you reach your left arm up overhead, clasp that right arm, the right hand behind your head, and hold here. Feel free to release your hands if you're in this posture. And take a little break if you were doing the full king pigeon. Otherwise, let's try this posture again. So grasp that strap and see if you can flip your grip to bring your elbows up next to your head, and use your arms to pull the strap and your foot a little bit closer to your body, and walk your hands down the strap a little closer to your foot if you can. Open up, pushing that chest forward. Really finding openness in the chest. And then slowly release your foot down to the mat. You can feel free to practice this a little more if you'd like by pausing the video, or you can just continue on with me. And then we're gonna just sit back into child's pose to rest our shoulders and our spine. Nice neutral posture. So whenever we do these back bending postures, we want to kind of neutralize the pose with something that involves a straight spine, such as this child's pose. So feel free to rest your arms along the length of your body now to give your shoulders a rest, if you would like. And then just relax and center yourself once again. Feel proud of yourself for however far you made it in that pose. I think only been able to touch my toes once and get the full posture, so don't feel bad if you weren't able to achieve it today. If you really prioritize this posture and you continue to practice daily, eventually you will be able to do the posture. And now let's slowly awaken the body, and come to our stomachs on the mat. We're going to bring and extend our left arm under the body towards the right side, and then bring our forehead to rest on our right arm. And we're just going to kind of rock back and forth, just gently massaging that arm, or you can simply sink your weight into the arm and just allow that to kind of massage it. We're just going to rest here, unwinding and slowing down the body now, slowing down the breath. Feel that nice gentle pressure on that left arm. And now let's release out of that posture and extend that right arm over to the side as we tent our left fingertips and bring that left leg over to the right side. So bend that knee and just get a nice stretch through that right shoulder and the right pectoral muscles. And then slowly release, this time bringing that right arm under the body and allowing your forehead to rest on that left arm. Again, you can rock back and forth on that arm if you'd like, or simply allow your weight to massage that arm by just releasing yourself into it. And release, extending that left arm out, tenting those right fingertips, bringing that right leg up and over to the left side, and feeling that stretch as you push the mat away and stretch through the left pectoral muscles, that left shoulder. Pushing the mat away with your right arm. Good, and now let's release and come onto our backs. This time you crossing your right leg over your left, so your knees are kind of lined up, and then grab your ankles and just hold, pulling your knees towards your chest. Maybe you're doing a nice spinal rock on your mat. Gentle rocks back and forth. Feeling it through the hip joints. Now let's drop that left leg to the mat as we bring our right foot onto the mat. Extend the right hand over to the right side, gaze following it. Just a nice gentle spinal stretch here. Spinal rotation. Now let's return to neutral, this time crossing the left leg over the right, lining up those knees and grasping that ankle, both ankles, and pulling those knees towards our chest once again. Gentle spinal rocks if you would like. Now let's drop that right leg to the mat and that left foot to the mat, and use your right arm to pull and hold open that left leg as you extend your left arm over to the other side, following it with your gaze. Another gentle spinal twist on the other side now. Good. And now let's release for Shavasana. So gently extend those legs out long. Rest your arms at your sides. And exhale any tension out of your shoulders. Exhale any tension out of your legs and your arms. And allow yourself to fully release onto your mat. Observe your breath at this time, and the rise and flow and sinking of your abdomen with every inhale and exhale. And just be present in your body.